office, seeking efforts to advance inter-Korean relations as well as the relationship between North Korea and the U.S., while seeking realistic and rational solutions to achieve denuclearization. President Lee revisited his three-stage roadmap involving halting, reducing, and dismantling North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. He once again made it clear that Seoul is not pursuing any form of unification by absorption. And his debut on the world's major stage for multilateral diplomacy meant more than just that.
저는 오늘 세계 시민의 등불이 될 새로운 대한민국이 국제사회에 완전히 복귀했음을 당당하게 선언합니다.
He was referring to Korea's recovery from the martial law incident last December, adding that the resilience of Korea's democracy not just belongs to Korea but to the entire world, in tandem with the UN spirit. He also laid out his vision for the use of AI that can contribute to the universal values of humanity, which will also top the agenda for the UN Security Council open debate on Wednesday local time, led by a South Korean leader for the first time. During his roughly 20-minute speech on Tuesday, he mentioned Republic of Korea 33 times. And here at the UN General Assembly, the South Korean leader did not forget to mention K-culture, saying it connects people all over the world beyond borders, language, and cultural differences, stressing universal empathy and solidarity. Eun Chung, Arirang News, New York.
And after addressing the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday, President Lee Jae-myung also held bilateral meetings with world leaders at the UN headquarters. Our President Office correspondent Song Yu-jin tells us more.
South Korean President Lee Jae-myung is making the most of the UN General Assembly's high-level week, often described as the world's biggest stage for multilateral diplomacy. President Lee held a series of one-on-ones with world leaders on Tuesday at the UN headquarters. His first meeting was with UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. National Security Advisor Ri Sung-rak told reporters that the UN chief voiced support for the president's North Korea policy, the END initiative, short for Exchange, Normalization, and Denuclearization, which he laid out in his address to the General Assembly.
Secretary General Guterres conveyed his hope that the initiative will contribute to peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. We will work to build a framework where exchange, normalization of relations, and denuclearization can all reinforce one another through inter-Korean dialogue and North Korea-U.S. talks.
President Lee, in turn, stressed that security on the Korean Peninsula is inseparable from global stability, the very mission of the United Nations. Lee also met with Uzbekistan President Shavkat Mirziyoyev and Czech President Petr Pavel.
We held discussions on practical cooperation directly tied to our businesses and economic growth, focusing on achieving results that people in both countries can feel in daily life.
With Pavel, the $18 billion nuclear power plant deal signed in June was highlighted, and the two leaders agreed to expand their strategic partnership to semiconductors, electric vehicles, and defense. Talks with Mirziyoyev explored ways to elevate South Korea and Uzbekistan's special strategic partnership with a particular focus on mineral resources and transportation infrastructure. Now, more bilateral meetings are lined up for Wednesday, President Lee's last day at the UN General Assembly. The presidential office previously said that President Lee will also be sitting down with the leaders of France, Italy, and Poland. Song Yu-jin, Arirang News, New York.
Now, wrapping up his second day in New York, President Lee on Tuesday hosted a dinner with foreign policy experts. According to National Security Advisor Ri Sung-rak, the discussions touched on improving the U.S. visa system, an issue highlighted by the recent detention of Korean workers in Georgia, as well as the ongoing trade negotiations between Seoul and Washington, and ways to advance the alliance. Among those invited were the editor-in-chief of Foreign Affairs magazine and heads of policy institutes, including the Korea Society. South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Hyun has urged North Korea and Russia to immediately halt military cooperation that violates UN Security Council resolutions. His remarks came during back-to-back UNSC briefings on the Middle East and the war in Ukraine on Tuesday in New York on local time, which he presided over as a council president. Jo stressed that such a cooperation undermines the global non-proliferation regime and proposed serious risks to regional security, including the Korean Peninsula. Now, on the Middle East, he said that the two-state solution is the only viable path to resolving the conflict and affirmed that Seoul will actively support the international community's efforts to build peace and stability in the region. South Korea and the U.S. reportedly agree that there has been significant progress in meeting necessary conditions in terms of the plan to transfer wartime operational control. Now, this from senior level regular defense talks, the Korea-U.S. Integrated Defense Dialogue that was held here in Seoul on Tuesday and Wednesday, according to the Defense Ministry. Present in the meeting were Acting Deputy Defense Minister for Policy Eun Chung from the South Korean side and John No, the Deputy U.S. Assistant Secretary of War for East Asia. Both sides also discussed ways to modernize the alliance and agreed to maintain the momentum of trilateral security cooperation among Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo to deter North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. On Wednesday, President Lee Jae-myung will become the first Korean leader to chair a UN Security Council debate, putting artificial intelligence at the center of global security discussions. To discuss the significance of this moment, we have our foreign affairs correspondent Oh Soo-young with us in the studio. Welcome, Soo-young.
Nice to be here, Dami.
So, Soo-young, we are just about a couple of hours away from President Lee Jae-myung chairing a UN Security Council debate for the very first time. Tell us more.
Sure, Tammy. So on Wednesday local time, President Lee Jae-myung will be chairing the session. He'll be presiding over a Security Council open debate on artificial intelligence and international peace and security. Now, I say that it's significant for two reasons. First, symbolically, this is going to be the first time that a Korean head of state presides over a council session, which really underscores Korea's elevated status in global governance. Now, that's according to former OECD policy analyst Chung Ji-eun, who now heads an AI-powered regulation tech firm in Seoul.
We have UNSC chairing opportunity right now. It's 80th anniversary for the UN General Assembly. And then we have obviously next month APEC happening in Korea as well. So a lot of spotlights can be given to the President Lee. And the fact that he has cleverly and timely chosen AI as a topic, I think is a great opportunity because AI is obviously a great, technical advancement, but at the same time can be a threat in security and peace.
Now, the subject itself is important. AI has become one of the defining issues of our time. From autonomous weapons to cyber defense and disinformation, the way AI is deployed can directly affect peace and security. Now, Korea is going to present 4 guiding questions, basically on how AI can be harnessed to promote peace and security, as well as the role of the Security Council to support the technology's responsible application. Now, by bringing these issues to the Security Council, Korea is upgrading the discussion on global peace and security and really pushing for multilateral cooperation to build rules and norms for emerging technology at a time when larger powers are divided in geopolitical tension and rivalry, according to international relations expert Park Won-gon.
In this kind of a context, our President Lee Jae-myung's leading role in the AI is very important because we could not see any kind of continuity dialogue about how to restrain, limit the AI because AI is such a powerful mean and powerful mechanism to change the human histories.
Seoul's Foreign Ministry told Arirang News today that the session is expected to serve as an important occasion for a wide range of UN member states to discuss the changing international security environment in the era of AI.
Soo-young, South Korea has been making various efforts to strengthen global dialogue on AI governance, right?
Yes, Tammy, I'd certainly say so. I mean, the UN security session that's being chaired by President Lee Jae-myung, I'd say that really highlights the country's comprehensive efforts to set standards on the all-pervasive technology, very strenuous efforts by our foreign ministry, as rapid advances in AI present both opportunities and challenges for international peace and security. Hosted the AI Safety Summit last year, bringing leaders together to establish that progress in AI should empower humanity. They adopted this whole declaration, which sets out safety, innovation and inclusion as key pillars in AI development. On the security front, where Seoul's been leading, Korea co-hosted 2 summits with the Netherlands on responsible AI in the military domain to develop global frameworks for the ethical application of AI in defence. Also very significantly, the 2 countries last year jointly tabled the first ever resolution on military AI, which was adopted with overwhelming support from 165 countries.
Well, of course, the president will continue his AI conversation when South Korea or Gyeongju City hosts APEC next month, right?
That's right. At APEC in Gyeongju, AI again will be the headline issue, but framed rather differently, Tammy. While the UN debate on Wednesday will focus on security risks and governance gaps, APEC will look at digital trade, innovation and standards for AI in the economy, bringing together not only heads of state, but also global business leaders at the CEO Summit. According to the Foreign Ministry, Korea is now drafting the APEC AI initiative, which will outline a shared regional vision on innovation-driven growth, strengthening capacity for AI transformation and encouraging sustainable investment in AI infrastructure.
I think more discussion needs to be happening in order for us to move forward with the global standardization of AI. I think with this APEC, if President Lee and Korea can come up with something concrete, such as like last time, there were other countries coming up with APEC travel cards, or any of the specific tariff negotiation on environment, any of specific concrete thing can come out of that meeting, it will be a really important one.
Well, from New York, all eyes will be on the next upcoming major leaders conference taking place in South Korea's Gyeongju City next month. Soo-young, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having me.
The International Monetary Fund has slightly raised South Korea's economic growth outlook for